Welcome. And thank you for tuning in to the Skol State of Mind podcast. You already know I'm your host, D Woods. Well, kickoff Sunday is finally here. The Minnesota Vikings took on the New York Football Giants. So let's dive into it. Well, leading up to today's game, there was a lot of talk about what can the Minnesota Vikings expect to get out of Sam Darnold. You know, Sam Darnold was drafted number 3 overall in his prospective draft, and he's technically never lived up of that draft status. I mean, I've been telling people all off season that this is the first time Sam Darnold actually has the weapons on offense, the offensive line, the consistent defense, and the coaching to kind of push him in the right directions. Yes, Sam Darnold still has to go out there and execute, but he's in a perfect situation to get his career back on track. Now, we ain't going to talk about what's going to be years to come, but Sam Darnold is our quarterback as of right now, and he played a hell of a game. So, before we dive into the stats and who did what, the final score of the game was 28-6. Minnesota basically dog walked the New York Football Giants. Now, if you've been following my channel, you see I did 2 crossover videos with TP and a couple of Giants fans. I think the other guy name was Dash. Me and Rap kind of held our own against these guys. My prediction was 27-10. I was damn near close. But let's dive into how well Sam Darnold played this game. There was a time throughout this game where Sam Darnold had no incomplete passes. And when you normally say like, oh, a quarterback has no incomplete passes, it's 2 ways you can look at that, right? Either he's a all-world quarterback like a Pat Mahomes or a Tom Brady or a Peyton Manning, and you just know like he's chucking the ball everywhere, or you got a quarterback that's basically like doing a lot of checkdowns. It wasn't even like that. He was basically rolling within the offense. The offense had great rhythm. He was finding open guys. Guys were making plays. I mean, he finished 19 for 24 for 208 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. I mean, when you're being aggressive in Kevin O'Connell's offense, you're probably going to have interceptions. I mean, you can just look at what Matt Stafford did when they basically went on their Super Bowl run. He had a couple of more interceptions than he would regularly have. And I think Kevin O'Connell expects that as long as you're being aggressive, pushing the ball down the field, especially in the middle. So what I saw from Sam Darnold, I basically saw poise in the pocket. I saw, presence. I saw him not making too many mistakes. Like he just really felt comfortable. And you can see that he has good chemistry going forward with his receiver and just basically the whole offense. And I can give credit to Kevin O'Connell because I feel like this whole offseason has really been like, Sam Darnold sucks. Like, what are we going to get from Sam Darnold? Or we got to start McCarthy. Or we don't know what's going on with this. It's like, I'm not going to ever say that Kevin O'Connell is the quarterback whisperer until we see what he can do with JJ McCarthy. But looks like he's doing a damn good job with Sam Darnold. A big test will come next week when the San Francisco 49ers come into town. And I just really hope that Sam Darnold can start to put together good games week by week, because that's the thing that you got to do in the NFL. Like, you can't just have one good game and a couple of bad games and one good game. Like, you got to be able to week by week, good game. And that way you can have, a great season. But what I saw from Sam Darnold today, I really like what I saw. And that's just what I've been predicting to see. So let's talk about Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones was a big free agent acquisition this offseason. The experiment with Alexander Madison at the starting running back role didn't work that well last season. I mean, he didn't even have one rushing touchdown the whole season. I mean, it's just kind of hard because sometimes guys are just good within the backup role. You can see the same thing happen with the Dallas Cowboys when they let Ezekiel Elliott go and they gave Tony Pollard the job. He kind of really didn't, have that same veracity that he would normally have when he was backing up, Ezekiel Elliott. And that's probably one of the reasons why he's in Tennessee right now. Just like, Alexander Madison is in Vegas right now playing for the Raiders. Now, there's no slight against Alexander Madison, but what Aaron Jones has right now, he might be a little bit older running back, and we don't want him to have too many carries. We don't want him to get, beat up. But this is the first time since Dalvin Cook where we can see that pop in the backfield. And if you watch football, you know what I mean. Like there were plays where I'm like, dang, it's a loss. But Aaron Jones will just keep hitting the hole, and he will turn a play that probably was a 2-yard loss into maybe like a 3-4 yard game. That matters the most. And if you know football, you already know what is the best thing you can have for a struggling quarterback or a quarterback you're not so sure about is having a consistent running game. Now, Ty Chandler, on the other hand, he had about 8 carries only for 17 yards. Like, I think that has to get a whole lot better because his average is only like 2.1. Aaron Jones' stats was basically 14 carries for 94 yards, with an average of 6.7. Think about that. Average of 6.7. Like, we haven't seen no average like that in wow. And his longest was for 19 yards. Like, how long in the season last year before we got a 20-plus yard run for the Minnesota Vikings? So as long as Aaron Jones stays healthy and they can spell him with Ty Chandler, I believe this running game can get real vicious. And I believe that's probably kind of the reason why Kevin O'Connell will go away from the running game so much, is because he didn't really believe in the personnel that he had. Now, to piggyback on the running game, let's just talk about the offensive line, right? The offensive line, I would say, held their own because on paper, the New York Giants has one of the best defensive lines of all football, basically. They got Dexter Lawrence, they have Brian Burns, and Kayvon Thibodeau. Like that's a great D line. That's a good pass rush. I mean, it's great, right? So as I talked about, on the crossover videos, that I was more concerned about the interior of the offensive line, meaning the center and the 2 guard positions, that I wasn't necessarily too worried about the tackles because, Brian O'Neill and Christian Darrisaw can basically hold their own. I mean, I can admit after the first series, I was a little worried because I saw Ingram get beat and I was just like, oh shit, it's going to be a long day for this interior. But give credit to Kevin O'Connell. They schemed, they did what they had to do. And that was kind of like the only, big splash play they actually had on defense. Like, that was great. Darisaw held his own. Brian O'Neill held their own. I mean, the offense basically just was clicking. I mean, with the offensive clicking, TJ Hawkinson is still not playing. We don't know when he's going to get back. He's on that 4-game IR. He might be back in 4 games. He might be back in 6. We really don't know yet. But Justin Jefferson didn't even have a great game. He had 1 touchdown, 4 receptions, 59 yards, 1 touchdown. Like, we didn't need Justin Jefferson to go all world today because everybody else contributed. Like, even with a hobbled Jordan Addison, and he left the game early and didn't come back for another ankle injury. We got to monitor that and see what happens with that going forward. But it's just like, man, like if the Minnesota Vikings can put an offense like that every Sunday, they are going to be real hard to beat. Now, let's just move on. Let's talk about this defense. Now, I really feel like Brian Flores had a personal vendetta against the New York Giants. We're not going to dive into, the whole lawsuit or what happened with Belichick and the shit that happened in Miami. But Brian Flores, man, he coached a great defensive game. I mean, a lot of y'all Viking fans out there been saying Harrison Smith is too long in the tooth. He's he's old. He's in the way, but the boy still can play. He's still a factor on his team. He got another pick today. Like, come on now. Like what can you say? I mean, damn, like this defense basically balled out. I still feel a little shaky about the corners. I kind of saw Shaq Griffin get beat a lot. Brian Murphy get kind of, beat a little bit. Like they didn't even really throw too much to Gilmore's side, but you can kind of see Gilmore is not the Gilmore that he was 5, 6 years ago. Like that's granted, as long as he's solid, that's still, the I would say the soft spot on the defense. But as long as they can rally together and play like that, I mean, sky's the limits, man. I understand I might be like too happy because it's the first game of the season, and it's the NFL. You're gonna have highs, you're gonna have lows, but it's just a good feeling to be waiting for the first week of the season and your team actually wins, considering we in was losing this 4-game losing streak to end the season last year. And with everything that's happened with this team outside of football, it's just a good feeling that they kind of pulled together and you know came out with a win. And I'm really excited. But just like I said before about the offense, the real test is going to be next week. So I really want to see what kind of game plan on both sides of the football to where, you know, they're going to be successful against the San Francisco 49ers. I mean, I'm not going to throw no dirt on the New York Giants and be like, oh, this is just New York. They're still a professional football team, and this is still any given Sunday. The game could have went any way at any point. You never know. So let's just say that I'm not gonna shit on the Giants. It is what it is. But I just really want to see what kind of game plan they're gonna come out with. I mean, they smothered Daniel Jones all game. I mean, they didn't even allow a touchdown. I mean, they got in the red zone multiple times, and the defense put the clamps on them and basically made them set up for 2 field goals. And the other time, they basically threw an interception to Harrison Smith, just like I said before, the Harrison Smith in the end zone. I mean, it was a fantastic outing. You know, um, just excited, man. Just excited. I mean, I really don't have too many gripes about this game. I just wish Jordan Addison a speedy recovery. I mean, he's going to be needed, especially next week. But that's about it, man. Like overall, I kind of felt like it was a it was a well played game on all 3 facets of the football: offense, defense, special teams. And I can see that they kind of put a lot of preparation into this game. And I just hope that they can take these highs from this game and lead it to the next game. Like that's just what I'm hoping for, considering, who's coming to town next week. But that's all I got for you guys right now. I'm going to do more pre-game videos for the upcoming, week with the Niners. I'm going to try to reach out to some Niner guys and see if I can, do some crossovers with them so we can kind of, get them talking and get more content out there. But you guys already know how I end this. Skol, baby.